Hey folks, welcome back to Meta Abuse. I'm your host, Battle Mode, and I've got Shaun and LucidTactics with me again today.
What's up, guys?
How we going, boys?
I'm going pretty good. Hope you guys are going pretty good too. So, we're making a bit of a return to doing the audio episodes, and part of the reason why I want to do this is just to get more consistent episodes out. So, the loose plan is kind of to get the video episodes being more deep dive stuff, because we've got my buddy Lucid here, and he's really good at kind of like rocking the graphs and all the data. And you won't be able to see that stuff when we're doing the audio episodes. So these are a good opportunity for us to get stuff out where we're just going to be talking about gaming.
It's actually funny. I didn't really prepare, or I didn't know that that's what you guys were doing. And when I was like sort of preparing for this episode, I like pulled up all these YouTube videos I wanted to share. So like we're not going to be doing any of that. But I was like, oh, I got this good clip and this good clip. But no, we're good.
Oh no, sorry. I feel bad now, man. Yeah, I kind of blindsided these guys with this. It's like, yeah, audio episode only this time around. Okay, so yeah, we've got a few things to talk about this week. We're just gonna have some loose talking points and then just talk around it and see what happens. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about, that this is actually something that Shaun brought up, is everybody is talking at the moment about Valve launching this Steam machine, or the Steam Cube as I'm calling it. Because it just looks like an old GameCube or something. And it kind of got me thinking a little bit about the nature of, you know, the way that gaming hardware is sort of evolved over the years, because I think it was inevitable that Valve would eventually make their own. I mean, I think they've been doing these kind of Steam PC things for a little while. They didn't have much success with them before, but this thing is getting a lot of traction. And yeah, when we were talking about this before, we sort of agreed that we haven't really got a whole lot to say about the Steam machine that other people haven't already said, but I think it's interesting just to talk about how hardware has changed over the years and kind of culminating in everything being just a PC in a box at the moment. What are your guys' take on this?
Well, I think it's going to be huge. I think PlayStation's dead after this. I think it's going to kill PlayStation. I think it's going to kill Xbox. Xbox has sort of done there's a bunch of corporate espionage and stuff always. Like they always know what they're going to do, at least big picture wise, before it happens. And Xbox sort of announcing this past year they're getting out of the hardware market. I think they knew what was coming. I mean, Uncle Gabe is amazing, right? So it's going to be running SteamOS. So they've cut out Windows and the Microsoft tax. Because that's really, Microsoft as a company is like a toll booth. And they have, for gamers, cut out the Microsoft toll booth to play games while having like the great PC experience. So that's huge. The hardware itself is amazing too. Like how all those things go together. The controller, the VR headset isn't tethered. I have like an Oculus in my house and I use it for like some things, but it is like I don't really want to have it set up with like the cameras all around my room and stuff all the time. So I'll pull it out and set it up to like show a friend or something, but it's not practical to use. So they have like built-in cameras in the headset that do all the tracking. Nobody's done this before. Valve solved. I mean, people sort of have, but not the same way Valve has. Like, it's way better solved.
No.
Yeah, they've got a new tech, like foveated streaming or something they call it.
Well, right. So part of the thing is if you go wireless, which they have, is you have huge bandwidth issues everywhere, right? So it's like, think about all the bandwidth. You have to send like motion control stuff to like from both controllers because you got one for each hand. Then you have to do the motion tracking stuff for the head, and then like full video stream. Like it has to be in pretty good resolution. And so they've had to mitigate all those. So they have like the Steam PC, I think it has like 3 or 4 different receivers, like Wi-Fi receivers, and they've switched from like 5G to 6G. So it's like super high bandwidth, and most of the like lots of other devices have saturated 5G and I think it's like 5.5. I forget what they're called, but basically, they understood the bottleneck to this was like a bandwidth issue, and then they've done all these different things to fix the bandwidth, which includes like the foveated, what do they call it? Foveated what?
Foveated streaming.
Streaming, yeah, where it like shows you high res right wherever your eyeball's looking.
Yeah, some clever tech. So I've also got an Oculus Rift. I've got the original Oculus Rift, and I don't break it out that often, but when I do, I really enjoy it, and I enjoy it for a few weeks at a time as well. So Shaun and I sometimes play Elite Dangerous together, right? And I'll often be playing with the Oculus Rift because that's one game that really works well with VR because you don't need to move. My issue with VR stuff is you're always like, you want to be on a treadmill. Yeah. And I think, motion sickness. Okay, so that's what I was going to say. If you've got any latency whatsoever in the way that the signal So if you've got any judder or like visual latency latency let's call it, you're going to get sick, right? So if there's any stuttering or low frame rate in VR, it's horrendous. You will get sick.
Is that what it's from?
That's part, I reckon. You will, no.
If you have
no.
perfect VR experience, but you're not moving, but your headset is, I thought that was what caused it. Or is it the the jittering or things?
Yeah, the jittering makes it worse, but yeah.
The jittering makes it a lot worse. So motion sickness you can have the most perfect resolution and frame rate possible, and you'll still get motion sickness. Like I Aussied a moon buggy in Elite Dangerous again, by which I mean I flipped it over and it spun, and it must have rolled about 50 times, and that gave me really bad motion sickness. I had to go and lie down. I had a headache for about an hour, and I had to lie down because I felt so sick. So yeah, I mean, and that was like, I had a great frame rate with that. So yeah, I do wonder if part of the motivation behind them having this new connectivity technology will be because if they are going to be making a play for the VR stuff quite seriously, they've got to fix that issue. The only other issue is that, the only other comment that I've got to say about VR stuff is I don't think it's ever really going to take off until we've got cheap treadmills. Once we've got cheap treadmills, VR is going to be massive because then you're running around in the landscape. But at the moment, I mean, you guys who played VR stuff, right? If you've got to use teleport controls, it's a real immersion killer.
I think there's a few things. One is that they have, and this is something that really only Gabe can do, is they have like full PC game support in VR, meaning you can play non-VR games. So
yes,
that's huge because now you can just fucking lie on your bed and play games, and that won't have any of the motion sickness, and you don't need to be tethered to something. So this is starting to feel like the kind of device that your average, completely degenerate gamer can use. They can just not get out of bed, lay in bed, have a wireless keyboard, have their fat ass in a virtual world. Okay. Like this seems something that people actually might use. Because I don't know if you can solve I think if you can't solve, I mean, with like Dramamine and drugs, you could probably solve the motion sickness. But I think otherwise, if you can't solve it, it's that thing alone is going to make it so hard to make good games.
Motion sickness, though, goes like it's one of these things that the body learns to get rid of. So you get it unless you're severe with it. I think something like 9 out of 10 people might get it the first couple of times they use it, and then after a bit, the body just gets used to it. I think so. I'm guessing but I'm pretty sure.
Is that with teleport movement? Because like all the games I've had when I didn't do teleport movement, I got sick.
I was going to say, you can train yourself to get used to it. I have a friend, he was playing, there's a couple of games, I can't remember what it was, but he used to get horrendous motion sickness, and he started playing Half-Life Alyx, it was, in the end. So, of course, it was a Valve game that solved his problem. Mm-hmm. He started off with teleport, and he had a go at just walking around. And over time, he gradually sort of trained himself to get over it kind of thing. And then he doesn't really get it much anymore. Like he hasn't used it in ages and he's probably just stuffed himself up again. But yeah, to some extent, I've heard you can train yourself out of it, which I don't know because I don't have that issue. So everyone else is inferior. But
I'm just guessing, but just from little I know about how the brain works. I think some people will be able to just push through it, basically. Like I've had motion sickness a handful of times playing VR. One was playing, Elite Dangerous with the moon buggy. The other one was playing Blade and Sorcery. I can't remember what it was that I was doing, but I got motion sickness playing that as well. But I find that part of the problem for some people is that when your body is expecting a certain type of motion and that it's seeing, but it's not feeling that there's a disconnect.
It's an inner ear thing.
Sickness, right? Right, so I don't get it at all with teleporting. What I do get it with is, I don't get it at all if I'm walking. I might get it with teleporting, or suddenly, like if you move your vision artificially left to right, like, using a controller, that's when I'll get motion sickness. If I turn my head, then no problem.
Right.
So, because your body's expecting that motion.
Well, yeah, you get that inner ear movement when you move your head. But it's like when you...
Right, exactly. So that must be what it is.
Yeah.
One of the other things I wanted to talk about like a little bit, because this has got me thinking that games consoles really used to be very much defined, and the games that were on them were very much defined by the limitations of the hardware. So, if you look at there's a very distinct difference between a Sega Mega Drive or Genesis game and a Super Nintendo game, right? They've got very unique music, sound chips, they've got different graphical capabilities, some were better frame rates, some had more vibrant colors, and the controllers were quite different as well. Those limitations actually gave the games some structure and some continuity in some sense across the console, you know, so you don't really get that anymore. And I think part of the reason is because most consoles now are just PCs in a box, right? Mm-hmm. So even the Nintendo Switch, which has got some very, very unique hardware in terms of things like motion controls and the touchscreen, most games don't use it. I've got a Switch. I haven't got a Switch 2, but at least on the Switch 1, 90% of the games or 95% of the games in the store are just PC games from Steam that have been ported over. So it doesn't really matter now what your console is. You've basically got access to 99% of the games are all going to be stuff that is available on Xbox, on PlayStation, on Switch, and on Steam. So there's absolutely no point in these consoles anymore unless you are buying them on a budget, right? And it's true that gaming PCs are expensive, but how much is the Steam box thing going to be?
We don't know for sure. There's a bunch of people estimating that it's going to be similar in price to, say, like a PS5, which whatever that is in your currency.
I think people are thinking like 800 USD or something or thereabouts.
Yeah, which I think I'd actually pay, to be honest. Well, the thing is, like, Valve's kind of been chipping away around this for ages. I think, you know, they had the Steam Link where you could stream games to your TV through your PC, and then that didn't go very well. I actually still have one somewhere. And now they've got it as an app on your phone, and then they had the Steam Deck, and I feel like that was kind of like a prototype almost for something like this, because they're still running Steam OS now, except, you know, it's in a bigger box. And I was thinking about this the other day because we have an Xbox, and my kids just told me like a week ago, oh, we haven't played it for about a week because it's broken, it's like glitching and stuff. There's something's cooking in the Xbox or something. It's a few years old, and I haven't had time to troubleshoot it yet, but it sounds like it's on its way out. And I was thinking about it because they play Minecraft, and Minecraft on Xbox is bullshit, right? So you're playing split screen locally Minecraft. This is my rant now. All right, but so it's local. It's on the same machine. Both of them are being rendered on the same machine, but Microsoft makes it that mandatory online. So you have to pay for Game Pass to play Minecraft online, like in local split screen on the same machine. So it's like
that's just outrageous.
Yeah, it's like $13 a month just for them to be able to play one game locally on their machine. It's bullshit, right? I'm going to stop before I get too wound
as
up.
A company is a toll booth. That's what they are. They figure out how to set up tolls and collect as you go through. So that's basically Microsoft's whole genius, is their expert toll booths. Like Amazon, because I was thinking about this yesterday. Like Amazon and AWS, they run a huge portion of the internet, but they're not really like that. They're more like low rent landlords.
Yeah.
The difference is they're providing a service in a way, and it's like, okay. But Microsoft is just about like figuring out ways to get you to pay for like all sorts of different things that you would normally not need to pay for. Right? Like, oh, let's figure out how to turn this thing which you used to buy and turn it into a subscription service.
Yeah, like they're creating the problem and then selling you the solution.
Right. So,
well, the thing I was thinking would be good about this is it's like, you know, I don't know if so much with Minecraft, with others, you know, once they're on Steam, there's that many other options.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I think you can do it. Right? Like,
yeah, I think you can.
Am I crazy? Is it not on Steam?
Actually, I don't know. I think even if you couldn't, there'd be a way to do it, because, you know, then you'd be on PC and you just have all these other options that aren't locked, you know, behind a locked wall. But even then, you know, you'd have so many other options on Steam because there's like millions and millions of games. And there's all these different Minecraft-like games and whatever. But the thing is, like, okay, even if it does cost a bit more, I was talking about this with some friends and with my missus, actually, because I was trying to justify the price of it because it launches here early next year. And I was like, even if it is more, we're not spending $13 a month on Game Pass just for our kids to be able to play online, which I've, like, ever since I was a teenager and I finally realized what's going on, I'm like, this is stupid. So, like, just getting rid of that, you know, you're taking out like $130 or whatever a year. So just doing that would be a huge difference. But I reckon I don't know how many people would go for it with your average console players, but for something like what I want here, I think it would be a pretty ideal replacement, to be honest.
I'm considering buying one because my fiance's laptop is getting a bit old now. And just to put it into perspective, I bought that laptop about 4 or 5 years ago, and it cost about £1,300. So this thing sounds like it's going to be about half the price, and yet that was, you know, it had like a 1060, an NVIDIA 1060 card in it, and it's chugging now. You know, like it will play new games, but not very well. This thing seems like it's pretty powerful, right? Especially if it comes with VR stuff and a nice controller. So I'm looking at this now thinking, Because I'm not really a big fan of Windows. I've got to be honest with you. I'm stuck and I don't move over to Linux mostly because I need it for work and because of the convenience of certain games not working very well on Linux. I mean, this is going to push a lot of developers into making stuff work on Linux, right? So I'm hoping that that's going to be one of the knock-on effects of this.
I mean, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that developers don't need to have a special Linux release for anything to work on the Steam PC. You just release like normal for Windows, and Valve has handled all the...
Yeah, Proton.
Yeah. My understanding, I forget, that what it was called, Proton? But I understood they had basically an emulator that would really efficiently emulate any kind of like Windows installation into like a Linux environment. But
so I've been tinkering with it a fair bit. I'm actually looking at switching over to it and probably keep like a small Windows install for stuff that I really want. But like stuff like games with anti-cheat, I don't really give a shit. But there's a few different options. So Proton is your big one. That's the one that Valve did. And it's essentially like a compatibility, like a translation layer for your Windows games. And I actually tried this out because I've been running some different distros trying to figure out what I'd like to use. And basically all you have to do in Steam is when you launch it up after you install it, you go into your settings and you can just set Steam to launch every game through this compatibility layer. So you don't even have to individually configure games, and then you just go fire it up and it runs, and that's it. Like it's magic. And then there's also different versions of Proton, and there's like Valve has put out different versions, and then certain developers can actually make their own versions of it. Like there's a fella called Glorious Egg Roll. He actually has his own distro, but he's also made something called GE Proton, which is regarded as basically even better than Valve's implementation. Like Valve's done most of the legwork, and then Glorious Egg Roll's gone and like added extra stuff on top to make more games work with it. So there's that, and then there's other stuff like your Wine and your Lutris, and that'll play other stuff that's meant to be Windows based. I think it's mostly there, but it's not as successful as something like Proton. But yeah, there's a bunch of different options now to make stuff like that work.
So Shaun, I just want to follow up with my point. So I was talking about how hardware, gaming hardware is really kind of like turned into this amorphous blob of just Windows crap. There might be, a glimmer of hope, because if this thing takes off in a big way, you might find that not only is it going to be easier for games developers to make games, because they're not going to be, guessing at people's configurations anymore, especially if this thing does take off in a big way. Like over the years, let's say 5 years, and like the majority of these the majority of PC gamers now are using this thing. That homogeneity is actually probably going to be a good thing for developers to some extent. I think the other thing as well is that because it is a very hardware-based thing, and it's got a very specific set of peripherals that it ships with, maybe we're going to start seeing a return to the days where, there are going to be different platforms that are defined by their hardware and that people can make games for. I was talking about this with the guys at Explorminate, and they seemed to agree that they didn't think that it was likely that we would return to those days where, like you might have like hobbyist computers, and we do have a few of these now, like certain retro computers like the Mister system, blah blah blah. But like, I don't think we're ever going to go back to those days where people are going to be in enough sufficient numbers. They're going to be like, oh, here's a new console and it's cool because it's got like you need to have 3 hands to play it or whatever, and that that drives kind of like the games that are going to be made on it. But still, maybe this kind of whole push towards, actually putting PCs into a box again and actually giving them some sort of hardware-based flavor, it might actually be good for video game development in some way.
Well, I don't think we're going back to those days. I agree with that too, but we've been moving away from it from some time, and we're not going back that way. But I think I have seen comments from developers saying this would actually be really good because now it gives them, like with consoles, it gives them set parameters about what to develop for, so that they can ensure that everything has a stable frame rate all the way through the game, and all that kind of thing. And then on the other hand, eventually this might happen. I don't know, but it's like there is still an enthusiast community out there that likes to tinker. Like I build my stuff, my PC, and then I do incremental upgrades as I go. And I'm actually looking at buying a new SSD for this Linux thing because my Windows one is tiny, but. Yeah. There is still a community out there that likes to tinker with stuff and have your enthusiast high-end hardware, and I can't see that going away for a long time, even with this. It's still moving away from like the proper having to get into like code shit in DOS to get, move your RAM around, reallocate your RAM in BIOS to get things, DOS to get things working and that sort of thing. But I think properly moving into everything sort of being, I guess, consoleized, for want of a better word, that's still quite some time off if it ever happens.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, I think a lot of people don't like the idea of consoleization, but there are upsides to having, a stable platform that's free of Windows. I mean, that is a big thing. Windows, I'm dreading having to move over to Windows 11. I'm hearing, like, most people are like, oh, it's okay, but I'm hearing a lot of people say, God, this thing's awful. Like, I was trying to get a friend of mine playing Eador Genesis the other day, and he can't get it working on he can't get it working on Windows 11. He just can't get it just won't display it properly. Whereas it's pretty easy on Windows 10. It works. So
yeah, I mean, there is compatibility mode. Has he been trying that? But anyway, we don't need to debug that here.
I tried it.
But
yeah.
I think the big thing about this whole thing for consoles, like we're just talking the hardware side, is that, well, there's two things. One is once Valve moves in, they don't move out. And these greedy fucking companies can't compete with Valve because Valve just does something good and sits behind it. And these other companies have to fuck up whatever they do, or they can't hit growth targets. So inevitably they just destroy, they cannibalize their own market. And Steam's gonna be here forever. So that Steam Cube is gonna get updated in 5 years with better hardware or whatever. And the controller will get a V2. It's here to stay. But I think the big thing is that what Steam did on PC is they got rid of gatekeepers, and people who are pissed that Steam takes 30% from their game, you can now just, like, Steam is your publisher if you're an indie developer, and you paying them 30% and for them to market your game and find the right audience to sell it to and all this stuff, it's the best 30% you could ever spend. So basically, and they've got, they went and they had Greenlight, and then they got rid of Greenlight, and now it's just like you basically self-publish. Anybody can make a game for PC now. That's going to be the case with console. And that's never happened before. We've never had a non-gate-kept console. And so now any indie, and think about it, all the corporate, like big corporations in the West have been fucking up making games. It's like they completely forgot what they were doing for a decade.
Yep.
And who made good games? It was all the indies. So are consoles dead right now because consoles are bad and people don't like sitting on the couch with controllers and playing with their friends? Or are consoles dead because Western developers have lost their fucking minds? And we'll find out, because this has removed the gatekeeping from consoles so indie developers can come in, and now you can play like Terraria with your buddy on the computer with a controller, or on your TV with a controller.
There are a lot of people, who do not like Steam and Valve, though. And, I know a few. They refuse to buy anything on Steam. They just think that Valve are the devil. I'm going to go out there and say that out of all the big evil corporations that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, I feel like Valve are probably one of the most benign. I don't really see them doing a whole lot of bad stuff. Now, everybody's got a story about Valve doing something that they don't like, right? And I'm sure that,
what are they?
People will be leaving comments going, hey, well, what about this game that they banned or this one they censored? But I think they're reasonable. They seem like a reasonable company.
There's a whole thing out there about like gambling stuff with the skins and
they did do that with CS. Yeah, they did start kind of the microtransaction hell. So that is a sin that they have to bear.
Yeah, there was something else. Yeah. Actually, I don't even know if I can mention it on here, but they'll come out with a couple of random little things and they'll just be like, these guys are the worst company ever. It's like, man, have you seen every other company out there? It's not even close.
Yeah, I mean, even GOG have made some mistakes in the past, so I don't think anybody's perfect. So yeah, they definitely they've made some boo boos here and there, and I'm like, their implementation of the UK's Online Identity Act stuff has been really bad because, like, so I'm one of those 30% of people in the UK who doesn't have a credit card, yeah, and so if I want to, like, let's say I wanted to buy an adult game, or like even look at a game that's been marked as an adult game on hypothetically, yeah, because I'm not really into that kind of thing, but I would have to. I can't because I haven't got a credit card. So the reason, so they basically, because they're lazy, instead of doing what like Discord and all that have done, which is, and I don't like this, by the way. They take facial ID and then supposedly, inverted commas, they delete it afterwards, but I guarantee you they won't. But Valve are like, well, we're not going to do that. Instead, we're just going to make it so that you've got to have a credit card because apparently a credit card in the UK, you have to be 18 to get it. therefore, you are 18, and that's the age of consent here. And the age, sorry, it's not the age of consent. Sorry, it's the kind of like the age where you can do adult stuff, generally speaking.
Yeah, you're legally
apart from 16 for some things. Yeah. So that wasn't good because like now I am blocked out of all adult games, and if I want to play adult games, I've got to go somewhere else. Not that I would do that, of course, because I'm a God-fearing Christian. But so yeah, like they do some wappy stuff occasionally. So yeah, I just want to make that clear. And I know that we're going to get people going, well, Valve are they're the most evil company in the world, but I really don't think they are. I can think of pretty much every other company that have done really bad stuff that come before Valve in my list of like evil empires.
Yeah. To dip really quickly into that thing about Valve and the laws, like we've got something similar that they're trying to bring in over here, and that like there's a lot of pushback about it, but from what I've been reading about it, with the way that this stuff gets implemented, it's quite vague about how they expect everyone to follow it. So everyone just kind of comes up with their own implementation. And then you just end up with like, well, good enough, basically. Like, this is just what we're doing, and it's just going to have to be good enough because we don't know what else to do with it. So there'll be other companies that also make these kind of weird solutions to problems because they just don't know what else to do with it.
Yeah, I think Valve were like, we need to get people playing because that law is ridiculous. I don't mind saying that. I don't think anybody in the UK, regardless of political bent, thinks of that thing as a good idea. It's just a terrible power grab by a very bad government, and it's affecting people all over the world now. And no doubt other countries will be looking at it going, oh, maybe we should do that as well. But in order to keep people playing their games and to not get sued for like massive amounts of money, they had to put in, the quick fix, and that was the quick fix that they came up with. So, fair enough, but, I'm sure there's better ways that they could do it. I kind of hope that they do, because 30% of people in the UK do not have a credit card. So I don't know how many people play Guna games in the UK, but it's probably more than 30% of the gamers, I would have thought. So
can you use a debit card?
30% of gamers play Gooner games? That's a high percent.
I just guess
it would be, right? There'd be so many.
You think? Oh God, I want to look up. That's the nice thing about us not doing videos. I can now look up stats. I'd be embarrassed to do this on our video podcast.
It's just looking at like orc prostitution games or something.
Oh, this is the perfect question for Grok. We're gonna ask it, see what it says.
I bet it's bigger than you think.
Yeah, well, there was a whole thing, not long ago, there was a mob that made Valve cave, and they were trying to, like, delist a whole bunch of adult games or something. I think they've come back now because something, it all went to court. And
oh, yeah. That was it. That was part of the same thing. Cause they basically blanket hid a load of games so that they didn't get hit by this stupid... I mean, it's not like because I guess Valve are in the EU, yeah, and the UK has some power over the EU. The EU somehow... will just agree to whatever it is that the UK government says, So if they go, we're going to charge you loads of money in a foreign territory, even though you've got no obligation to pay us anything, and the EU will go, okay. Whereas in America, like, was it 4chan and Kiwi Farms just told them to fuck off? They were just like, no, we're not paying you anything. Like, why would we pay you any? Like, why would we, pay or agree to your stupid laws over in, We had a tea party and stuff. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
Grok, and that's the reasonable.
Grok has guessed it's well under 5%.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Well, I was maybe that was my internal bias.
Yeah, might be.
My internal bias is getting involved.
Maybe the rest are anonymous browsing.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure a lot of gamers have seen porn, but I feel like having seen porn and downloading a porn game on Steam or something are very, very different. Yeah.
I feel like there's kind of a leap there between just porn and then actually playing a porn game.
Well, there's a difference between games that are, actual porn games, like hentai games and that kind of thing, and then games that have got some sort of not safe for work content. Like, I play an XCOM mod called X Pirates, and it's got like quite a lot of topless nudity in it, like women with big tits with fucking, with their tits out. And that's just the aesthetic that the developer and the fans really like. It's like very much a sort of internet, corners of the internet kind of 4chan inspired game in some respects. And so, that's kind of the aesthetic, but that would be flagged. And it's a shame because it's one of the best mods ever made. So if that was a Valve game, right, Valve would have instantly just
what was the game again? Did you say
anyway.
XCOM, or am I mishearing?
It's it's a mod for the original UFO, Enemy Unknown, or XCOM UFO Defense. and it's called X Pirates, and it's kind of it's one of the best mods ever made. The developer's a genius, in my opinion. He just knows how to make a great game. It's ridiculous. It's huge. It's very, very long. It's made for experts because the difficulty is very high, and yet it's just got tons of content. There's like 4,000 texts in the game. It's like it's like Dominion's level of content. Yeah. So for those of you who know what Dominions is, and you know how much content there is in that game, because it's like a 20-year-old game at this point, X Pirates is like that big, basically. So it's kind of up there. So yeah, shameless plug for X Pirates, but that would be blanket. You know, if that was a game that you had to pay for, Valve would be locking that behind a credit card now, which is kind of annoying. So,
well, how do you buy games without a credit card? What do you do? Like just your bank card?
You'd use a debit. Like I use a bank card, a debit card. They don't, because you can get a debit card when you're a kid, basically. I think I don't know what the age limit is. I expect it's 16 though, because I'm pretty sure I had a debit card well before I ever had a credit card.
Yeah, they'll usually have just like a savings card. We call them key cards, but you'll just have one that's only savings, and then your debit card can function like a credit card, but use your savings. But that's a older, like 16 or something, like you said.
Yeah,
I did ask Grok a little bit more. If you expand it to not just like Gooner games, but you include like gotcha waifu kind of games, which I thought were like a bigger subgenre, then it probably goes up to like 10 to 20%, which those are, in my opinion, also degenerate. But apparently less so. So yeah.
But I mean, imagine, think about how popular a game like Nikkei is. Nikkei Goddess of Battle, which is that South Korean gacha game. That is for the kind of game it is, it's actually quite fun. Mm-hmm. But that is massive. Like that game's got the income of a small European GDP. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it probably makes more money than Greece.
Mm-hmm. And so reinventing modern slavery.
They're massive.
They've got all these like 20-year-old not gooners, but like depressed, can't find a girlfriend, and they've got like 30 waifus in this game.
Yeah, they'd have their waifus taken away. That's an outrage.
Well, it's an investment, right?
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah. It was actually, so I know that the EU's got their thing, but there was some Australian organisation, of course it was Australian, that work on some what is it? They do all sorts of things about like basically content, removing really bad content that involves unsavory things. And they were a big part of this because they were getting stuff delisted off itch.io, and then Valve caved in and started removing stuff, and I think they might have backflipped on it now.
No, that was the whole credit card company thing. They got the credit card companies involved.
Oh yeah, MasterCard and that. Yeah, Amex. Yeah.
It was, and it was also to do with the UK's Online Safety Act as well. They were all acting in lockstep over that thing. Anyway, what else can we talk about today? Because let's just move on to what we've been playing, I think, because I'm interested to hear what you guys have been playing recently. Now, I know Lucid, as the games developer, is always playing new like fantasy games. So like, have you found anything fun recently, Lucid? I'm interested to hear what you've been playing.
I mean, I played Super Fantasy Kingdom when it came out. That was kind of a fun little kingdom sim. It's a bit like Majesty, but like not.
Yeah.
And then The King is Watching, played that a bit. But I think I don't know. I mentioned I was playing Eador Genesis this week when I had some free time. But
yes,
mostly I'm trying to not play games as much and do game development stuff. Sorry,
I was going to say, Super Fantasy Kingdom I played a little bit. I didn't play it long. I've probably got about half an hour in it. Yeah, I'm looking at it now, 33 minutes. But Battle Queen played it, and she played that all week. Because she was, got really, really into that one. Put like probably about 50, 60 hours into it. And I think she's done with it now.
Yeah.
So it's got like, it's got 50, 60 hours of play for a severely autistic person.
Yeah, that's about, I got 45. So
she completed it. She finished the game. And so, like, I think it looks like it's really fun. It's very much going to be yet another Hooded Horse game that's come out strong, and it's going to be an eternal early access game. They're going to keep it in early access for as long as possible, no doubt, and kind of milk that one as long as it can. But I think it's released in a decent state anyway.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's my kind of game, but it's all right.
Single developer, pretty good indie single developer. Yeah, I mean, I guess technically it's. Yeah. I think the whole, some people are saying, "Oh, it's not indie if it has a publisher," which I think is crazy. Indie's really like, I think it's kind of a meaningless thing now. since you have Steam. Because like before Steam, indie, like if you didn't have a publisher, you had to like put your game on a website or like just post it somewhere. And now that Steam exists, you don't need a publisher. So the whole like tiers, it's like basically indie, in my opinion, is like 1 to 10 people. And then somewhere between like 10 to 50 people is like AA. And then over 50 people is like AAA. That's how I think about it.
All reviews for Super Fantasy Kingdom so far, and bearing in mind it's not even been out a month yet, it's got 3,000 reviews, what's that going to be? That's about 100,000 sales, I'm reckoning. I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah, we just look it up.
So that's sold a lot. That's done really well. I mean, another hooded horse game that smashed it in terms of sales.
I mean, we know this is not
kind of game
surprising. This is a fantasy that many people have, like having a little fantasy kingdom where you have little heroes in it that do their own thing and little villagers in it that do their own thing. Like people have loved those. Like people loved Majesty. But a lot of the Majesty remakes sort of suck. This one's sort of simple and has all the key things people like, and yeah, people like it.
I think it's nicely produced as well. Did you notice that the music's in this Super Nintendo style? It's got the same. It's Super Nintendo. Like I know that sound chip, and I can't remember exactly what the name of the chip is, but it's got that same sound. It's really, really distinctive. That opening tune it could have been a game that could have been one of the pieces of music from Chrono Trigger or something. So I think the graphics are really nice on it as well. It's really, really well produced.
I hadn't even heard of it before. Is this like an auto battler thing? Is it like a Heroes and Might and Magic sort of thing with auto battler?
No. So it is an Empire it's a kingdom management game. So you're putting buildings down that open up new resources. It's a resource management game, really. But there's this kind of adventure element to it, and it's quite simple. Like you basically pay for your road to be built into different parts of the kingdom, which opens up new areas, and then that'll open up new challenges. And then that's in the daytime, and then every day you get attacked by a whole swarm of monsters. So it's got a kind of bit of Vampire Survivors about it, I guess, where you've got these heroes that defend your kingdom. You hire them. They've got different abilities, but it's basically just a DPS check in various ways. Yeah. So it's kind of got this basic kind of combat system that is apparently quite fun.
One of the things I normally don't like in games is games with a lot of meta progression. And this one is a game about meta progression.
Yeah, but absolutely.
The thing that's cool about it, though, and the thing that I do like, is that it's not about grinding meta progression. Because, you might have to do a tiny bit of it, but if you don't figure out how to, solve whatever stage in the game you're in, then you're basically not going to progress at all. And then if you do figure it out, you can progress, you can pretty close to beat the whole game and get a huge progression bonus. It's kind of more puzzly. You have to figure out different things and what things go together, what strategies are good and what aren't. But once you figure that out, then you make a ton of progress. So that feels good. It's not log in and grind out 100 hours of meta progression, which I feel like some of the Vampire Survivors clones can be a bit like.
And Vampire Survivors, we talked about this before, but it is just a meta progression game. There is there is some skill to it, but not a huge amount.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Super Fantasy Kingdom, watching Battle Queen play it, she was getting stuck on it and she was having to think about what to do. Mm-hmm. And she's what I would call what Richard York would probably call a dedicated casual or a keen amateur, let's say. She's like a keen amateur at these kind of games where, she's not out there to master it necessarily, but she will play the hell out of them. And I think that if you're that kind of gamer, this is going to be fun because, it's something that a casual can pick up, but it's meaty, right? There's enough meat on the bones that you'll get some good gameplay out of it. You get 40 hours out of a game that is how much is this one? $15, basically. It's $15, £13. It's going to be, it's a bit of a no-brainer for that, for the amount of fun you'll get out of it, I guess.
Yeah, so I was just looking at some of the Steam reviews and saying city builder, horde defense game. So it's They Are Billions. I don't know if anyone actually played that. That was sort of thing, where you build your buildings and train your troops and all that sort of thing, and then you get bum rushed by zombies and stuff at night.
Yeah.
Yes, right. Kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Or that kind of vibe too. It's like that if you really streamline the gameplay down. It's a very streamlined experience, but I think that's probably why it's popular, because it's streamlined, but it's still got depth to it. It's quite difficult as well at the start.
Well, I think people would like it if there was more kind of complexity and depth and stuff. I think that's part of the thing I've been thinking about for just game development reasons the past couple of weeks. But like people like complexity, but I think the thing is it's just one developer. I think they allocated their time well. Like it makes sense to add complexity to something that like is good. Yeah, if they had more people working on it, they had more things, or could be better. But
yeah, like get your core loop sorted and then add more stuff to that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably what they're going to be doing, though. It's not finished yet as well. That's another thing. Very, par for the course with Hooded Horse. It's not finished. It probably won't be ever. or if it does, it will take years. Yeah. But, it's it's in a decent state at least. What have you been playing, Shaun, recently?
I was playing Escape from Duckov, which you saw Battle Queen playing. It's pretty fun. It's almost like a Fisher-Price baby's first extraction shooter kind of thing, but it's single player.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're running around as this cute duck, and then you can put on like a SWAT helmet and body armor and an MP7 with an aiming laser on it and all that sort of thing, and then just go down and mow down other duck. So
it's another one that is sold insane amounts. Duckov, Escape from Duckov. Yeah, it's another £18, so a $20 game. Overwhelmingly positive.
42,500 reviews.
46,000 reviews.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
So that is made this. Whoever's made this was a millionaire overnight. That's smashed it.
Yeah.
This is you don't really get reviews. Look at it. It's 96% as well. So overwhelmingly positive. I was watching the missus play this the other night, and it looks really, really good fun. The only issue that she's got with it is she's playing on the sofa, and at the moment she's not really into using mouse and keyboard, so she's playing with a controller. And the controller works, but it's not very well documented. It's still coming up with keyboard commands, for example, for the for the tutorial stuff. So she was struggling to play it a little bit. It's a twin stick shooter essentially. Other than that, it's really, really. It looks really, really good, man. Like I haven't got a copy of it myself. I bought it for her, but I'm gonna check that out and see if it's something I could get into. But, I mean, look, 45,000 reviews. That's smashed it. That's got to be one of the top selling games on Steam at the moment, without a doubt.
Yeah.
That controller thing, I can get why that would be annoying, because I remember playing, well, basically any FromSoft game, if you play it with mouse and keyboard, you'll be running around and you're still getting controller hits, even though you're using a keyboard, and then your keybinds are all messed up, and you have to try and rebind every single key to make it work, so I get why she would be annoyed by that.
Yeah.
But it's... I think why it's selling so well is, like, normally with your extraction shooters, there's a lot of mental load to get into it. You have to learn where all the maps are and where the extractions are, where the extraction points are, and try and get a hang of the gameplay loop. When you've got something like Tarkov or something like that, it can take you hundreds of hours just to get... You can figure out the bare minimum pretty quick, but to get a half decent understanding of it, you can be looking at hundreds of hours of gameplay. Whereas this is distilled down and has all this quality of life stuff, so you can basically just jump in and figure it out as you go. And then to begin with, it almost feels too easy to begin with, because you've got like these little green ducks, and they walk around and they're just like, and then they fire at you and miss, and you can just kill them. Even on the same level, actually, I've died a few times on the first level, because then you run into... They've got different enemies that pop up eventually. They've got better gear and better guns, and then there's bosses on the map that just destroyed me before I even figured out what they were. That sort of thing. So there's quite a lot going on there, but I think it's got a lot of quality of life features, and it's more... I like the aesthetic of it more than something like, say, Zero Sievert, because that pixelated, I guess, like 8-bit graphics thing, I don't know, I find it kind of hard to read, but this doesn't have any of that. It's much cleaner and easy to follow, and yeah, I think that's sort of just it. Like it's a popular genre, but it's about as accessible as you can get, which I think is why it's doing so well.
Well, it sold 3 million copies, apparently, according to an announcement they've made. So that's done really, really well. And, Lucid, if you want your game to sell, just make it like some anthropomorphic animals like this.
I think these are the wrong lessons to learn from that, though. I think, like, it's not... I feel like that's like what a Western studio head would be, though. They'd be like, oh, just do anthropomorphic...
Exactly.
It's like... I don't know if we'll do it here on Meta Abuse or if we'll do it on my channel, but I have to talk about Stormgate. The lessons that this guy, the CEO, learned from it.
We'll definitely do a review of... Sorry, we'll talk about Stormgate, because we've been meaning to for a while. I keep forgetting about doing that, actually, so I think we should maybe schedule that one as our next video episode, but I want to talk about that anyway, because I'm interested in RTS at the moment.
Yeah, these developers have done similar stuff before. They've got 2 other games out. There's 2
Soda.
top-down twin-stick shooters, and it looks like, I can't tell if some of these are humans or anthropomorphic animals, but it's that similar sort of visual style, and they're all actually been received pretty well. They don't have a lot of players or customers by the look of it, but they're all like very positive ratings, and yeah, interesting.
Overwhelmingly positive for Snake Force, and it's got a lot of players, although it's a free-to-play one, and very positive for Soda Crisis. They do cutesy stuff, so I mean, Lucid's quite right. That's not necessarily the only lesson to take away, but it is true that if you make your game cute, you're going to appeal to 10 times as many people, because you're going to get like the female gamers and the people who like cute stuff and more kids and that kind of thing. So it is, they're onto a winner there.
And I think it's pretty easy to see, like the gameplay for Escape from Duckov is like super crunchy. Like the guns are so satisfying to use, like the timing's so good. You get hit by it, you blow up, like it's very nice.
Have you played this one, Lucid?
No, I was just watching trailers for it. But you can, I mean, these are the sort of things, like people are like, oh, it's random which games are good and which ones aren't. And it's like, yeah,
no, it's not.
It might be random whether, you might not be able to look at it and know, is it going to sell like 1 million copies or 10 million copies? But you can look at it and you can easily know, is this going to sell 10,000 copies or 1 million copies? Like that part isn't very random. We were going to talk about Arc Raider some, but there was that IGN review, and I think the one of the commenters summarized it best. They said, "Powered by a potato, played by a potato, presented by a potato," because they had like horrible footage of it uploaded, like it made the game look horrible, and the game actually looks really good. For somebody to have played that and then concluded like it's not going to be a good game is crazy, because at the time, like I'm not, this is not a genre I'm into, but I watched the trailer for it, and like the vibes in the trailer are fucking awesome. And it's not like vibes in the trailer from like some cinematic they made, because it's gameplay. Like those huge fucking harvester queen spider robots going and hunting people, and like they have, they're like legs procedurally step up on the terrain and stuff. Like how they're animated is amazing. And how they fall apart, like you blow off one of the rotors on one of the flying robots and stuff. You can look at a game and you can tell if it's going to be good pretty easily, in my opinion. It's pretty easy for me not interested in that genre of like Escape from Duckov. Like it's easy to look at and be like, yeah, that's a fucking awesome game. And it looks way better than Zero Seavert too, Not that anything wrong with it, but...
No, but the thing is, this is going to have more broad appeal than Zero Seavert. Like, I wouldn't get my missus to be able to play Zero Seavert. Unlikely. It's unlikely she will play that, where, because just the way that it looks, and the fact that it probably looks more complicated than it is because of the graphics. Give her cute ducks. Like we've got a thing for chickens and ducks, right? Yeah. We think they're hilarious, and we talk about them all the time. So that's an instant in. Yeah, that's an instant in for my missus. She'd be like, "Oh, ducks, yeah, I'll play that straight away, no problem." That's I think a large demographic of people are going to be more interested and more willing to put time into something if they've got this kind of gateway.
Okay, but forget the ducks for a second. Just if you're listening. Look at the guns, just the gunfire, how the shots are, like they're a little hard to see in Zero Seavert, and they're like so satisfying in Escape from Duckov. Like they just look really good, and it's like I don't have the audio on, but I assume the sound design's good too.
Yeah, it is, and it's very like you say, it's got meaty gameplay, and it feels satisfying to kill stuff in it. Right, and so you're dead right. It's not just about the cuteness; it's also they've got because. The cuteness will bring in casual gamers, but it won't keep people playing. The game's got to be crunchy, as we'd say. So I think it's got that crunchy gameplay. It's got the addictive. I hate this term, but addictive gameplay loop, if you want to use that term. And so because the gameplay is addictive and it's repetitive, that's not the right word. It's something that you can pick up quite quickly. Yeah, I mean it is kind of I don't like that term because I think it works maybe with these kind of games. I don't like it when it's in terms of strategy games.
Right.
When people start talking about the gameplay loop of Dominions or something, I just turn off. My brain switches off. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, Duckov looks really, really good, man.
Yeah, I feel like Seavert's going for a different audience too. Like that's more of your Stalker, Tarkov, more sweaty, survival-oriented kind of player. Yeah.
It's funny because that was one that Daz Tactic really likes, and it's really not the sort of game that Daz usually plays. He doesn't ever play action games, really. Zero Sievert's not turn-based, is it? Because he pretty much only plays turn-based games, but I think it's not. Yeah, it's not turn-based at all. I'm quite surprised that Daz got into that. I think it was one of those, like, he gets sent, like me, he gets sent loads of games all the time, and he probably looked at it and thought, don't know about this, and then something grabbed him about it. But
it's
quite
make
an old.
So it's quite slow paced and I guess more tactical. Like you've sort of got to really think at what you're doing and be careful when engaging, because mostly with Duckov, unless you run into the wrong kind of enemies, like you usually come out okay, even if you take a couple of hits. Whereas Sievert, you can die very quickly. If you run into like a boar or something, you can empty half a mag into it and it'll still kill you. I'd say it's not as like beginner friendly to the genre, and it does get a bit more. Yeah, maybe that's why he's into it. Like it's sort of the vibe and the having to play it slower and think more about like more cerebral kind of thing.
Yeah, sure. It looks good to me. I've been on the edge of buying it for quite a long time, but I never quite got around to it. I think it would be the sort of game that I'd buy and enjoy the look of it, but probably not play a whole lot for it to be justified for me to pay for it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Same with Duckov, really.
Yeah, I've tried Sievert a couple of times. I don't really get on with it. If I was going to play that, I'd rather just play something like Stalker. It's you can mod that and you can easily get a similar sort of vibe, but I find it way more enjoyable. Obviously, it's a whole team and not. I can't remember how many people made Sievert. I think it was Direwolf, the guys that did that Dune Imperium game that made it or published it or something. Yeah, so it'll be a small team, but yeah, I don't know. I don't hate it. It just doesn't really tick my boxes.
Just before we finish, guys, because we're coming up to the hour, I'd like to just talk about a little bit about the game that I've been playing, which is Lucid already mentioned it, but I'm gonna blame Lucid for reducing my productivity recently. But I've got back into Eador Genesis New Horizons, which is a mod for an old game, an old Fantasy 4X game, but it is, I think, and I know my Fantasy 4X, right? I've played a lot of them over the years, and I was a big fan of Master of Magic and Caster of Magic mod particularly. But I think that Eador Genesis New Horizons is probably the tightest and most fun of the Fantasy 4X games, maybe outside of Dominions and Conquest of Elysium. What do you reckon, Lucid? Is that a bold statement?
I'm doing my golf clap over here. Very nice. It's kind of different than a lot of other 4X. There's a lot of things great about it. Like the fact that a lot of things are centralized out of your cap and you get to like do like a few small things in provinces. I think that fixes a lot of the issues that you have in Age of Wonders or something about having like 5 cities and having to manage production. Like the game kind of scales unpleasantly in those, but it scales quite nicely in Eador. There's other things that I think are really good. One of them is that the build up to before you fight the AI is the real meat of the game, and that part is so good and so tight in Eador. It's so good. Part of what makes it fun is there's all these different battles you get to choose to have, and you get huge rewards if you can win the hard battles, but you lose units permanently, and that's really bad. But if you can figure out a way to take some hard battle early, like there's ghosts and you get the holy spell that kills them, so you actually use the game systems to like load up on the right kit or have the right units or whatever to kill this custom like this really hard battle, you get huge rewards that can like change the whole playthrough.
Yes.
Yeah, it's super tight and good until you get to the AI part. The AI part's kind of weird and bad.
I don't know if it's that bad though. Like because there was a couple of misconceptions I had about Eador from years ago when I tried it and I didn't play it enough. And this is one of these occasions where unfortunately I formed a poor opinion of a game and I allowed it to colour my judgment for a long time. And I read too many reviews of other people who didn't understand the game as well. So one of them was that the game is too long. Actually, a campaign of Eador does not take that long. It's probably not. It's about the same time as Age of Wonders 4. Yeah, playing an Age of Wonders 4. You mean
a skirmish, like an individual
a little bit longer,
map.
Like a skirmish. Yeah. So the campaign,
the campaign is
huge.
And, campaign's like a multi-month thing.
Yeah, it's going to. Yeah, definitely. That's like War in the East or something. Yeah, it's going to take you 6 months to play. But a single skirmish is somewhere like a Shadow Empire map, right? Maybe less than that. And so that's one thing I got wrong about it. It's actually really perfectly paced. As Lucid said, it's just really fun right from the start of the game. Like the early battles are interesting because they're difficult. There's a little bit of a learning curve to knowing what you can fight and what you can't. that if you understand basic fantasy tropes, you have a fair idea. Like, you know that you can take on goblins, for example, but if you come up against giants or cyclops or dragons, you're going to lose, right? And Eador's really good with the readability in that respect. It uses common fantasy tropes, but it does them really well. The tactical combat is absolutely amazing. There's so much that goes into it, and yet on a fundamental level, it's quite mechanically simple, I'd say, but it's got more meaningful depth in it than any other game that I've played, I think. It's not like a classic 4X game like something like Elemental. Like, I think the Elemental series is quite good. But that's more like a Civ style game. It's trying to be an empire builder, and Age of Wonders is leaning towards that now. Yeah, so you build up your main city, and that's where your technology buildings and stuff are being built. And all of that stuff, you can only build a certain amount of buildings on each tier, and you are locked into your decisions. So it really enforces commitment to choices, because once you've gone down a certain route, like, you pick a certain type of unit, you can't undo that. So that is really, really good in this game, because not only does that increase replayability, because you don't get to see the whole game the first time you play it, your environment that you're playing in will dictate what unit's going to be useful. For example, if you don't have any metal near you, it's going to be too expensive for you to build units that require metal, like the swordsman and the armored pikesman and all that kind of stuff, right? So but if you've got the mandrake, well, you can just quite easily get the magic units. So that is going to determine at least part of your game, and then what's around you is also going to determine the rest of your development. Where I disagree with Lucid a little bit is I think the AI is better than people make out. This is the other misconception I had about Eador. I think that I heard that the AI was really bad, and I played it a few times myself, and I felt that the AI was too passive. Now, here's the problem. One, Eador has got difficulty settings that are a little bit confusingly named if you don't understand the game. So what most people would consider to be normal on these games is where you get no bonuses, economic bonuses, and the AI doesn't get any either. Yeah, that mode is called expert in Eador, because Eador's quite a difficult game, and so I was playing on a low difficulty setting, and the AI just didn't have a hope. But if you ramp it up to expert, where everybody's got the same economy, no economic bonuses or penalties, if you're not good at the game, the AI is going to roll right over you. So, and it is programmed to go straight for your capital as well and kill you. I lost about 6 games this week because I just wasn't good enough. So I think that the AI is fun to play against. It's not going to be like a real challenge once you've mastered the game systems, because it's not that complicated what the AI does, I don't think. So I think it's probably where Lucid's coming from there. But in terms of, would it be fun for...
Let me add to that, since we're on the topic of AI. I think the issue that I have with it is it's a little binary. Like, there's a lot of times where the AI will become Giga AI, and it will roll in with a stack of level 30 heroes with maxed out evolved units in their stack, like fully everything fully upgraded. And there's still ways to kill it. You and I were talking in Discord about it. You can do these like strategic nukes and sort of kill it still. But you can't fight it with your main hero. Like, it is just not going to stand a chance. And that's fine. Yeah. Except the other option is they come at you and the hero's half your level and you just stomp it. And it's like, okay, it's over.
Yep.
It doesn't do and I think this is hard because this is a snowbally game and the AI is hard to like control. So it's hard to have like a consistent AI experience where they're like 5 levels ahead of you where it would be fun. And that's not a knock against it, because like if you want it to be 5 levels ahead of you, then you don't really have the AI playing the game. You just scale the AI up based on whatever the player is or something. And that's maybe not good either. So I don't know what the solution is or anything, but it is. And like even on the same difficulty setting, you'll have like sometimes the AI will just totally fail. And sometimes it will come at you with a level of a stack of 30. But for me, because that's only like the less important, less fun part of the game, I don't really mind because it's still so much fun early.
So just for context, every province that you explore in the game has like multiple locations hidden in there. And you spend time like exploring them with your heroes, and it will, you'll find these new locations. So like a dragon's den or, like a sewer full of ratmen. And each of these encounters will open up a battle. And the battle will have its own unique challenge because there's, in the New Horizons mod particularly, there's so many different unit types and they've all got so many different types of abilities. So there's tons of content. So even if you're no, like, if you just don't play with very many AI players at all, or you could even just have one opponent on a big map, you could just play that game for ages, and it would just be super fun because some of the challenges are really difficult. There's always something to be doing in it. There's never a dull moment in Eador, I think. So at least in terms of pacing and the density of fun you get from the moment you turn it on and you start playing until you finish, I think it's very, very high. It's an S-tier game in my opinion, even with the flaws that we've discussed.
Yeah, one other thing too, since we're talking about it, I can't help but bring it up. I have one of my main complaints with many modern games, but it exists in older games too, is basically they sand down all these game features that are that are interesting until everything basically is just you're getting modifiers that help you be a better DPS generator or help you be a better HP tank. Like it's everything, like percent armor, all these things. They just all
different types of damage, like fire damage defense,
right? And they're different percent things, and it's like, if you have a percent armor, that's really the same thing as effective HP. They're not really that much different, But like in Eador, you have subtractive armor, so it matters a lot.
Yes. And
there's all these other like little unique abilities that, because you have morale and stamina that most of the time don't matter, but sometimes they matter a ton. And then you have poison and other sorts of things which bypass stuff. I'm so glad you've played it, because to me, it's going to make talking about any other strategy tactics game easier when you're talking with somebody who's played Eador. Because in my mind, and you tell me if I'm wrong, I think it has some of the best unit variety where like you really do feel like you're playing against totally different things. Like my mind turns off in Age of Wonders 4 because all the units feel, people are going to be like, oh no, Age of Wonders, like all the units are actually really way different. That's like the stats of them are pretty similar within each tier. Yeah, they have some abilities that can be meaningful, but it's like if you haven't played Eador, you don't know what I'm comparing it to.
I completely agree. So there's stamina, there's morale, and you can make plays on those things like you can in Age of Wonders, but they are not overwhelmingly strong like they can be in Age of Wonders. Like if you let's say you build a morale, you go through the tomes, as a Tome of Revelry or whatever it is, some of the ones that have morale boosting stuff and things that, attack morale, that becomes your kind of dominant strategy, right? Whereas in Eador, you might have a spell that like drops enemy stamina, but that's only going to work for a few turns because they can rest, right? Mm-hmm. But it is incredibly effective. So there is a spell that like drops everyone, a necromancy spell, I think, which kind of like just removes all their stamina. That at the start of the game will give you an advantage because you can then move into position, but it's not a I win button necessarily. There are some spells that are very, very powerful in it, and it's got that nice, healthy balance of like really, really strong, overpowered stuff that you want in a single player game, but it's not like it doesn't lead you down the garden path with these mechanics like, oh, here's an obvious thing for you to exploit. There's so much of it. So yeah, you've got poison damage. It's not just it will chip away at enemies' health, and there is stuff that can fix it, but it's not it doesn't feel quite so generic as it does in other games. You've got things like there's magic damage, there's physical damage, there's a distinction between those. If it sounds like it's over complex, it does take a little bit of learning because you will get your ass handed to you the first few times because you'll go up against it'll be a little bit like when you first play Battle Brothers. You'll be like, oh, my first battle, this should be easy. And then, you just lose half your troops and that's it, your game's over because you don't really quite understand how the mechanics work. But it's very, very satisfying learning how all those myriad mechanics come together. And it's very fast to play, isn't it, Lucid? It's like you can play a Battle of Eador in 5 minutes and it will be really, really tactically rich and fun, and every move that you make is going to be really important. And yet, it's over dead quick. And even the biggest battles don't last any more than about 10-15 minutes. At the very outside, if you're really playing slowly.
Yeah, God, that is so. That the battles being quick is so nice too, and you don't have these like weird animations that take forever and actually look bad. God.
But it's still got great graphics. I mean, for the time, the graphics are great.
Yeah.
And it's got meaty, the sound effects are meaty. There's a thing that I really care about, which is like the spells are powerful. Like, so you feel, when you fire a fireball in that game, it doesn't just do like 5 fire damage. You see it bomb and it makes this cool sound. It's got that kind of visceral feeling to it, even though it's a 2D battlefield. There's just so much, there's so much stuff. And there's so many units. Like you can ally with the different races in the game. So, if you ally with the Dark Elves, you'll be able to unlock a building chain that gives you these dark elf like troops that you can get, or you can get the orcs. It's got like so much variety in it. It's, but it's not a sandbox game really. It's a very tight game. You need to play it right in order to win. And you have to make the right moves. But within that tight framework, they've given you a lot of tools to play with, and I'd say that there's a lot of room for expression. Like player expression. Very much more like an action game or an arcade game in that respect. It's not like this kind of big, expansive sandbox like Dominions where you can kind of do anything. It's there are the right moves and there are the wrong moves to make in that game, but within that kind of like tight framework, you can play it however you want. It's really, really good, man.
If there are any Age of Wonders fanboys out there who like that game, and I loved Age of Wonders 1 and 2, and I like 3, 4 I'm not a fan of, but a lot of people like it, and you haven't played Eador Genesis, this is free. You get the mod New Horizons. You just Google Eador Genesis New Horizons. Try putting 20 hours into it. Or not 20. Put 5. See if you like it. If you like it, put more. But the game has so much depth, and I think it like sets the bar for like the unit variety and the progression systems. And once you figure the game out and you start getting good at stuff, you can start taking like crazy good fights early, and that feels really good. So I'd suggest y'all to try it. I'm so glad you spent time playing it too.
Yeah, and I've kind of fudged talking about it because it's kind of late now, and I'm not my analytical brain's not really on. But it's better than I'm saying. I think that the test of a game like that really is a little tough to get into in the terms of if you're used to easier games to learn, like something like Age of Wonders, even though that's got quite a high learning curve with the combat, because the combat the AI is quite good. But Eador will wipe its ass with you the first few times. So put it on an easy setting. However, it's got so much room for experts to play, and I think that is the key for a great game for me. Yeah, it's not that easy to get into, but if you do get bitten by it, you will want to get good at it because the rewards for getting good at it, as Lucid has said, are very, very tantalizing. Like if you can take those difficult battles early on, you can get some crazy spell or some crazy unit that just really helps you with your initial expansion. The other thing, just before I end, I want to say that I think is great about the game is you've never got enough resources, right?
True.
So you're always pulled in multiple directions, and you're like, do I want to unlock the next tier of spells, even though it's going to be a massive economic investment, or do I build my economy knowing that the AI is on my borders and I need those spells? I've got this certain, I've got lots of hilly provinces. Do I try to go down the part of the tech tree that develops hill provinces and enables you to get loads of money out of them? Or do I, try to invade my neighbor because he's got all that stuff? It's just a proper 4X game in terms of the headspace, the strategic headspace within which you need to think and make your decisions on. And yet it's super streamlined to play. It's so hard to explain. It's just really, really good, man.
I mean, the other thing, too, is there's other things you don't even realize are well-balanced until you've been playing it for a few hundred hours. Because a lot of times you take all your resources and you invest them every turn. And then you're like, oh, I never have any resources. And then you go to some shop and there's like this item that's really sick for like 1,000 gold and 300 crystal or mana. And you're like, who has that much? Like, I don't have that much.
Yeah.
But you could have, and you can go back to the shop later. And it's like, oh, I could buy all these little things, or you could buy that one thing. And a lot of times, or you could get like a mercenary, and the mercenary is really expensive. And it costs higher upkeep. And you're like, oh, I don't want to pay the upkeep and all this for the mercenary. But if you save up, and instead of doing all these little piddly investments, you do one of these huge investments in something that gives you like real hard combat power now, instead of like investing for the future, well, now you can take these really hard fights. And these really hard fights give you a ton of money and resources. Yeah. There's like all these different branching cool things in the game that are really cool like that.
If only the AI was like, if it had like a really, really solid AI, I think it would be the perfect fantasy game. Great game. And like Lucid said, it's free, so go and check it out. I would definitely advise that you buy the, go and pay for Eador Genesis on the basic game on Steam to chuck the developers some money, and then go and download Eador Genesis New Horizons, because I think you need the mod. It's superbly well done.
You should do that. I mean, who knows whether the money you pay for it now goes to the old Russian developer?
Oh, okay.
Right? Presumably it does. I don't even know if you can buy Eador. So. Let me see. You might not be able to buy it standalone in the store anymore. Oh, no, you can.
It's a funny thing because the follow-up games, there was a bunch of them in the series. There was Eador, Masters of a Broken World, and then there was Eador Imperium. And I've got Eador Imperium, and it's just broken. It crashes. It's got like a fate. It's like Elemental, the original Elemental. It's got a fatal problem. It's so obvious as well that the developer, they put in a little character who turns up in the tutorial. It's like a little knight, and he crops up during the tutorial of the game, and he goes, we found some fatal problems with this game, and we can't actually fix it because it's endemic in the engine. So if you want your money back, here's how to do it.
Yeah.
like literally offers you your money back at the start of the game. That's how broken it is. So people might be tempted because Eador Imperium's looks newer. It's got, more modern graphics, and apparently it's a very good game. People who do play it and still who can kind of work through the crashes. Like, I spoke to a guy on my channel who said, I've never had any crashes with it. It's fine. Apparently it's a really good game, but Eador Genesis is the one that I recommend because it's got a beautiful art style. The mod has been done tastefully, so all the units pretty much fit the original game. And yeah, there's nothing in there. There's nothing in there that doesn't need to be in there. It's a super, even though it's got tons of content, it's very much like X Pirates that I was talking about. Even though there's endless content in it, the game is made by a master craftsman, and that really shows in the quality of the product you get.
Yeah, it's so you can get it on Steam. It's $6 if you want to buy it there, but the mod is standalone.
Yeah,
and the mod is free. So I don't know how much of the Steam money go. I own the Steam copy, and I launch it through Steam, but I have the mod installed, so it just does the mod when I launch it through Steam. But yeah, it's 10 out of 10.
It is, yeah, and so yeah, go check that out. It's a classic, and I'm gutted that I passed it over so easily. I did a tier list video for, I think it was Explorminate years ago, and I rated it low. I was like, it's kind of too slow, and the AI is not very good, but it's fun for what it is. And people were like, no. Like, I think there was like a bunch of Russian people who play this game properly, and they're like, no, you must play this game properly. You have to learn it, Ben, because it's actually way better than you're saying. And yes, it turned out, just like Space Empires 4 was another one, that I gave it a low score because I thought it had bad AI. And then when I figured out how to set it up so that you can play it, oh shit, was I wrong about that game as well? So Space Empires 4 and Eador Genesis are S-tier games, man. And they are, I was very much humbled. It just goes to show you, that you can really pass over stuff if you don't analyze it correctly. You got to play these games to actually have an opinion on them. Believe it or not.
Don't tell games journalists.
Yeah, don't tell them, guys. Sorry, Shaun, I feel like you were a bit left out of that conversation, but you've got to play Eador Genesis, mate. It's great. It's really, really good fun.
Yeah, you guys sound super enthusiastic about it. And I was just looking at it online. I'm like, it's $8.50. It's not expensive. So, yeah.
Yeah, check it out, man. Anyway, guys, we probably better wrap it up just for the sake of my poor editor. We've actually got an editor for Meta Abuse now for the audio podcasts, which means that we are aiming to get these out a little bit more often now. So now just bear in mind that, real life often gets in the way in terms of having to get, myself, Lucid, and Shaun together because we're on 3 different continents. But we will do our best, and there's other guys as well that we can do stuff with, like Daz and that. Yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy a little bit more regular content. And I think the next one we're gonna do, is probably going to be this one on Stormgate. So we're going to do an episode on Stormgate because we all 3 of us like RTS games, and I think it would be really good to analyze that and try and figure out what went wrong with it. Lucid and Shaun, thank you very much for joining me again.
Absolutely.
So good. Anytime.
Thanks to everyone for listening as well. Please share this podcast wide. If you enjoy it, it would be great if we could get some more people listening to it. And hopefully with a little bit more regular cadence, you guys will be able to get it out to your friends too. Thank you very much, guys. Catch you next time. Take care.